Hi everybody, this is Boog Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the brand new Neca Walmart exclusive TMNT 1990 Rooftop Battle Leonardo vs. Shredder 2-pack. So before we take a look at Shredder and his accessories, let's go ahead and take a look at Leo and his. So first up, he comes with a set of relaxed hands. Up next, he comes with these open hands. Up next, he comes with accessory holding hands. Up next, he comes with a slice of pizza, which I don't really know why Neca include this as an accessory, because honestly it just looks like he's angrily eating pizza, and I don't think it fits the context of the scene. It's still painted the same exact way as it was on all of the previous versions of this pizza. I definitely wish they would have updated this with printed on details. I think that would have looked a lot better. But yeah, this is exactly the same, and looks very goofy in his hands. Up next, of course, he comes with his swords, and these are the same swords that we've seen used with, I think, all of the Leonardo movie figures. The blades still feel very flimsy. I definitely wish they'd update them. I know thicker blades wouldn't necessarily be accurate, but that'd make me feel better because you can see how easy it is to bend just putting the slightest amount of pressure on it. You can also store both the swords in the sheath back here on the back of his shell. And I don't really display him like this, because one time this is how I broke one of my swords. It got stuck down here in the sheath, and when I pulled, it snapped. So yeah, I honestly wouldn't recommend putting it down in here. It feels easy to slide out, but on the off chance that it does get stuck, it will probably break. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the head sculpt. So taking a look at this head sculpt, I think Neca did a really good job on this. I believe this head sculpt is brand new because I don't remember there ever being an angry face for Leonardo on the first movie Turtles. But that looks really good, the way that angry expression looks. You can see that for some reason they painted his teeth all the way back in here as well, in his mouth. So everything is white in here and that looks a little funny. But other than that, I think it looks good. You can see some blood right here up by his mouth. He's beat up. And that looks really good. Neca did a really good job on this head sculpt. And most of this figure is a reuse. So comparing it to the 2-pack version, Leonardo does for the most part reuse the Part 1 body mold. You can see some subtle differences, like the colors on this one are a lot brighter, and the shading is more prominent. Like right here in the shading between his muscles, you get that dark green. And it's a lot more apparent than this more subtle shading right here. You can see that the fingernails on the new one are a lot brighter. It's a brighter green color. It's a very subtle difference. The black paint in between the lines on the shell is a lot darker. On this one you get a scuff. That does kind of annoy me. So you get just a little bit difference. Now the main difference on this is he finally has ball jointed hips. On this previous version, it was the old style hips. And these hips did annoy me because they felt so fragile. So it is good to see that this one does use the new ball joints, because the articulation is so much better on this one. I think the paint on the shell on the original one is a lot better. That light brown with the black wash over top of it looks really good. This one was really dark. It does have some light brown paint over the dark brown there, but it's very hard to tell because of how dark it is. I will say that the wrapping on the sheaths is a lot better on the new one, though. I feel like the ties and everything came out a lot cleaner. But if you look, they did stop the paint right here on both of these. I never noticed that till I was comparing them. The paint stops right here on the new one, and it does on the old one as well. On the old version, the spots on the legs are more prominent and they're more subtle on this new one. You get some bruising right here to his calf. It's more prominent shading right there. So honestly, the only real differences on this is, of course, the head sculpt and the new ball jointed hips. Other than that, the differences are mainly just with the paint. This new one has some subtle differences, but not a lot. You can see that the yellow fades into the brown on the shell on the new one, and this one didn't fade that well. I do like the fade on this one a little bit better. So for the articulation on this Leonardo, he has a ball jointed head that can look up that far. He can look down all the way. He can move his head side to side just a little bit. Man, that is a tough joint. He also has swivel with the bandana here, but it doesn't want to move at all. He has shoulders that can move all the way out. Double jointed elbows that can bend in that far. These elbow joints still feel very fragile. Can move side to side up here and side to side down at the forearm as well. Swivel with the wrist that can move side to side. and up and down very nicely. A ball jointed diaphragm that can move up and down very slightly and side to side a little bit. New ball jointed hips that can do a complete split without feeling like they're going to break. He can kick forward that far till he hits on the shell. He can't really kick back at all. He has a very nice thigh swivel. Double jointed knees that can move back that far. Ankles that can move down all the way, up all the way, and an ankle rocker. So now let's go ahead and take a look at Shredder and his accessories. So first up, Shredder comes with a set of these open hands. Up next, he comes with a set of fisted hands. Up next, he comes with accessory holding hands. Up next, he comes with a knife and sheath. We saw this used on the previous Shredder figures. Up next, he comes with this axe. We've seen this used with all of the releases of the Foot Soldier. I can't remember if this originally came with Shredder or not, but I do know that we've seen it used on all of the Foot Soldiers. And finally, he comes with his spear. This is, of course, another accessory that we saw with the previous Shredder releases. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the head sculpt. So taking a look at the head sculpt, this is the same exact head sculpt as this previous Shredder. There are some color differences. The original is a lot darker and the paint on the new one is a lot brighter. You can see that the old one has some shading around the eyes here. Let's get this off. So taking a look underneath the mask right there, you can see that they didn't add the shading under the eyes, and you get a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow, and none of that is painted on. The skin tones are different. I do think the scarring is painted better on the new version. But yeah, it would have been cool if they would have at least printed a little bit of the shading underneath the eyes right there, the bags. I think that would have looked really good. I am kind of bummed that we didn't get a new head sculpt underneath the helmet like Leonardo got. An angry head sculpt for Shredder would have looked really good. It would have been a subtle difference, but at least there would have been more of a difference than just collars. Because as far as I can tell, other than not having the cape, the colors on this new one are just a tad bit brighter. The reddish color, that shimmery, maybe it's like a maroon. It's darker on the original and it's brighter on this new one. They still did the sparkles really nicely. I still think that looks very nice. You can see that the wrist guards are a little bit brighter on the new one as well. Of course, the skin tone on the hands is different since it is on the face as well. You still get that elastic band around the waist right there. The shin guards look almost exactly the same to me. The silver paint over top of them looks the same, but you can see that the feet are darker on the new one. You can see that on the new one, the black is a little bit darker. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of differences on Shredder, and for this Shredder, he still has the old style hips. Would have been nice if they would have updated him to ball jointed hips as well, but yeah, he's pretty much the same exact figure, just with a little bit of difference in his collar. So for his articulation, he has a ball-jointed head that can look up all the way. He can look down all the way even with his mask right there. He can move his head side to side and all the way around very nicely. Though when you're moving his head, this piece around his neck will shift up and down. I'm definitely going to have to glue that down. He has shoulders that can only move out that far. He has double-jointed elbows that can only bend in that far. Can move side to side up here and side to side down here at the forearm as well. Swivel at the wrist that can move side to side and up and down, but this right wrist is really loose. It's wanted to pop off quite a few times during this review, so that is pretty irritating. The ball-jointed waist on this one, it moves pretty nicely. It moves up and down very nicely, side to side, and around just a little bit. He has hips I think you can get him to do a complete split. Yeah, you can get him to do a complete split, but because they're these old style ones, they feel very fragile, and I definitely want to be careful moving them around. He can kick forward all the way. He can kick back all the way. He has a thigh swivel, but it's pretty crunchy. He has a double jointed knee, but I can't get this bottom joint to move at all. It feels like it's going to snap right off, and that's an issue that I had with the original one as well. And he has ankles that can move down all the way, up all the way, and a nice ankle rocker. So for the only size comparisons, here they are next to their original versions. So overall, I wouldn't really recommend picking this pack up because there's not enough of a difference to justify dropping $60 plus tax, well $59 plus tax. I mean, there's definitely a lot more new stuff on Leonardo than I thought there would be, but there's nothing different with Shredder at all. I honestly would have just preferred a standalone release of this angry, battle-damaged Leonardo figure. I think that would have been perfect. But But overall, this is really just a lazy repack. I hate to say it, because I really like Neca. But yeah, this pack just isn't it. I also forgot to mention here is the UPC. If anyone does want to buy this pack, I am going to put the UPC up on screen for that. So that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.